The Liquidity Pool 2 packages have been launched, and everyone was eagerly looking forward to them with great excitement. And even now, everything revolves around them, as the current crypto classes, man decoys, and all other announcements are centered on them. Just to provide more understanding, because we've had liquidity pool packages before, but this one is a bit different from the previous ones we've seen. On one hand, it is different because, it is already one. We constantly need to adjust one half of the basket to a live exchange rate. I am thinking of the codex here, and the other half needs to be constantly adjusted to a live variable Bitcoin. And this has caused a lot of challenges and difficulties in the process of managing the basket effectively and efficiently. It wasn't easy technically to solve this, to manage it, how it should happen, how it should go. But well, we can always trust Molnar Peter and Vidakoi Satila and their witch's kitchen, and they solved this thing very well. However, as you are aware, I previously informed you about our Liquidity Pool 1 offerings. In this particular case, the story was relatively straightforward. We had a stablecoin called USDT and an unreleased token known as Codexa. The initial price of Codexa could be established, and subsequently, the package and pool were introduced at a predetermined exchange rate. This allowed for a seamless launch and ensured stability within the pool. However, the value of the two tokens is constantly changing here. At times, Codexa increases a little, while BTC occasionally experiences slightly larger increases. As a result, this task becomes even more exciting, and that's why I believe it's worth discussing. Additionally, there have been a few inquiries and comments that require clarification. Therefore, during this Monday call, I will share my observations and remarks regarding these matters. So, as I see it, here we have the Liquidity Pool 2 packages. The question is it worth it or not? Should we go for a smaller package, maybe get more of those, or go for bigger packages? We want to talk about this for the next 15-20 minutes, no more. But before we delve into this topic, there is another matter that we have received multiple inquiries about, correct? We possess a code of conduct, and staking is also an option in the Novalis office, If an individual has a code they don't want or can't deal with yet, they can trade it for Mosaic pre-tokens, which can be used in the future or exchanged for other assets. It appears that if an individual, for example, dismantles 10,000 codexes, they will be rewarded with 262 Mosaic pre-tokens annually. In the event that they dismantle a quantity lower than that, there is a multiplier in place which allows them to receive a proportionally reduced amount. So this multiplier can vary between 55 and 100%. And one more thing to note is that when someone reduces the value of this quantity based on the code for a period of 2 months in the first year, they will not receive any reward. Subsequently, in the following 10 months, they make up for the payment, and after that, it transitions to the annual amount of 262. Pre-token for even distribution of Mosaic. In reality, this is no longer really important because once the Mosaic blockchain starts, we will have to shut down this program in its current form. So I am basically indicating that maybe it is no longer worth it, due to the 2-month lead time. I mean, starting it at this point is not worth the effort anymore, but we can focus on other aspects of the project instead. Everyone is free to decide what they want, how they want it, what is worth it for them, so I don't want to hold anyone back. However, in this code, there was a condition for staking that if the number of stakes reaches 10,000, then the annual distribution of these 262 Mosaic pre-tokens will start decreasing proportionally for everyone, depending on how many more stakes there are beyond the initial 10,000 stake threshold set in the system's parameters. And since, in the previous LP packages, a bunch of codexes started to be released in the fall, a lot of people were excited about this amount of codexes being released. I've been studying databases and blockchain, and some people handle 100 per day, which I honestly don't fully comprehend because The person is stabbing themselves in the foot by discounting 100 codex every day, because if they waited 5 days, they would already get 5%, even 10%, 15% more annually, which would produce much more for them. But it does not matter. It is not everyone's decision how they want to discount this. But the main thing is that we have crossed this 10,000 mark, and now there are about 12,000 active stakings. So the Rivards, they did not experience a decrease, correct? Therefore, the system does not divide by 262, but let us assume it is 20% less than the original value. Many individuals have inquired as to why it is in this manner. Despite the fact that it exists in the web office, it has been indicated since the start. Yet at last we additionally pondered that this constraint, there is no need at all, as it doesn't really make any sense from the system's point of view. We implemented an additional restriction, right, that mandates the removal of at least 20 codes, as this option is completely provided for free to the employees. But we as a company have the obligation to bear the financial responsibility of paying for those transaction fees that are incurred during the process. What is included with this item? So if someone assesses it, or puts it in a deposit, or requests that amount be returned, and here you are required to pay transaction fees, which are not transferred to the employees, but are deducted from the total. That is the reason why we have established a limit of at least 20 codexes. So roughly, you have to dumb down the code in exchange for $1, and then it becomes feasible. I also verified that there are countless instances of such strings that not only fail to meet the 20 codex, but even one or two strings, I suppose, just like that, then it remained in that state, but it is of no consequence or significance whatsoever. The primary thing is that you can stake a minimum of 20 codexes, but we will eliminate the other limit. So if the number of stakes reaches 10,000, there will not be any retaliation in the rewards. And this will be retroactively like this. So nobody needs to panic if they have noticed that they are not receiving rewards as quickly as they would like, because we will restore that retroactively. Kindly grant me a small amount of time for this, because as you are aware, the development and technical requirements of the liquidity pool packages have taken a considerably longer period of time to complete and finalize. And now everyone was focused on this. Now this has come to an end. We can deal with other things. And now we will modify these smart contracts so that there is no revenge of rewards, but everyone receives the full reward, so that this 10,000 pieces of stinging does not mess with this thing. So all those who have noticed but don't know, many people have definitely noticed that these rewards are decreasing, or, well, they don't receive as much as they would like. So this will be changed. I asked for about a month at most for this, but I think it will be resolved by February, and everyone will receive the full amount of their reward without any deductions or reductions, just as they were originally promised. Well, but let's get to the point. Liquidity Pool 2 packages. I made a little presentation where I would like to have a couple of key points to mention regarding this specific matter at hand. Let's expeditiously go through the contents of these packages, because I observed that there are specific questions and presentations that require attention and clarification. What I observed is that specific elements, specific parameters are emphasized by my colleagues during the presentation, but they do not consider the overall perspective. And I believe it is highly crucial to consider the overall perspective, because it is similar to if I desired to purchase a car, and let's assume I would solely focus on its fuel efficiency, and subsequently it becomes evident that the car does not fulfill my requirements, because perhaps it is like that. Generally, I tend to take long trips with a number of people accompanying me, and it is not always the case that everyone is able to fit inside the car or is suitable for embarking on a journey of 500 kilometers at this particular moment in time. That is the reason why I believe we should thoroughly examine each and every single thing and put them on this scale to see how these LP2 packages truly look like and determine whether it is genuinely worth buying them or not. Parentheses, a small spoiler. Yes, it is worth it, but let us go through this entire process anyway. So what is the deal with this entire liquidity pool thing? What is it good for? If anyone did not happen to see last week's crypto class, definitely check it out. The link is also up on Facebook. It is really, really good. I thought I would post a few of these comments that came in, like wow and wow and wow and well and oh my and oh my and oh my. According to my colleague, it was one of the top cryptocurrency classes of his life, so we received extremely positive feedback about the cryptocurrency class up until last Thursday. It's definitely worth checking out, right? Attila and Peter were just talking about liquidity pools and everything related to them, and I also want to learn a few things from here, just like that. Mentioning at the level of mentioning or listing, which I think is really important, but I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, look back or check it out on the link, find the link on Facebook, and we also shared it in various groups, so if you can't find it on Facebook, ask your leader for it. But what is this liquidity pool? Why is it necessary? You know, this is for decentralized finance. In Hungarian, we say DeFi, right? Or DeFi, however one prefers. So one of the big benefits of DeFi is the liquidity pools, an automated trading system that doesn't depend on anyone. There are no intermediaries, but there are so-called liquidity providers, individuals who contribute to this liquidity pool. They send in a duo of coins or a duo of tokens, and this guarantees that there is a substantial quantity of coins available for the purpose of continuous trading without interruption. And what is the advantage of this? First of all, it is about the fact that the given coin, let us assume it is about coding and BTC Bitcoin, that you can purchase code at any time quasi from the market. We do not rely on anyone. If I desire to purchase a codex, then I have the ability to purchase a codex. You know, these are the first and largest benefits of a liquidity pool. Another advantage is that, you know, it also generates traffic in the event that there are different liquidity pools available for the same token. So let's say in our particular case, we have USDT or codex with USDT or codex with Bitcoin, then we can observe exchange rate differences that exist between them. Arbitrary traders appear, so they take advantage of the fact that one basket has a different exchange rate for the codex and the other basket, and obviously where the codex is cheaper, they buy it and sell it at a higher price. By doing this, you can make a profit without taking any risks. But why is this good for us? Firstly, because they consistently balance the exchange rate in both baskets, and this is truly significant. That by performing this action, they generate a substantial amount of traffic in both baskets, and this traffic indicates the existence of a so-called swap fee, which in our particular case amounts to 20%, and this fee is deposited into the liquidity pool. This 20% will enhance the position of those who provided liquidity, benefiting the individuals who they contributed to this liquidity pool in order to enable trading for others, thereby enhancing their own wealth. Certainly, those who offer liquidity can also experience additional advantages. So in the event that the exchange rate, for instance, rises, then evidently the value of the coins in the liquidity pool will also go up, thus enabling them to benefit from this situation as well. Honestly, the biggest profit can be made when the market is sideways, because even though they can't profit from the increase in the price of coins, nobody can, right? If the exchange rate only goes sideways continuously, only occasionally increasing or decreasing. However, there will be a multitude of arbitrage deals taking place with every single price movement, and that is precisely where the traders who engage in arbitrage will consistently be paying the commissions, thus enabling them to accumulate a significant amount of money over time. Attila had an excellent presentation in the past, and perhaps we will revisit it at some point. In the presentation, he demonstrates the significance of its size in relation to the number of transactions and the size of each transaction. In this scenario, there can be additional benefits for the owners of the liquidity pool, let's say. Let's assume that there is a transaction happening every minute with a transaction value of $1,000 and a fee of 0.2%. This fee will be added to the pool, providing an extra incentive for the liquidity pool owners. This implies that they are acquiring $20 more affluent every single minute. The owners in the pool. If it costs $20 per minute to enter, that means there are 14 40 mins in total for the liquidity pool's duration. So let's round it up a bit for a day, which implies that it costs approximately $30,000 per day to gain access to that pool. And if we multiply this by a year, it turns out that more than $1 million accumulates in that pool over the course of the year. So the individuals who supplied liquidity are experiencing an increase in wealth by $1 million. And they did not take any action, simply placing their pre-existing code, BTC, which they did not have immediate intentions for, into this pool of liquidity, guaranteeing that others can engage in buying and selling. And as a result, they obtained this significant amount of profit. So this is a really cool thing, isn't it, right? But never mind, I think we should talk about this in a separate crypto class, because there are really, really, really good things here in Talsaj, but that's the essence of the liquidity pool. Well, let us get back to the liquidity pool 2 packages, because I think I am just wasting time instead of focusing on the main point. Let's observe what these packages contain, First and foremost, I am simply commencing at this moment. I don't know if I can point with the mouse here, but I'll figure it out soon. Razer mouse, wow, and you can already see it, I think. So on one hand, you receive LP2 tokens representing 40% of the value of the package, which essentially 40% of this amount is allocated to the liquidity pool, specifically to the newly established liquidity pool. As I mentioned initially, while exchange rates fluctuate, the precise proportion cannot be foreseen due to constant changes. Clearly, the exchange rate of BTC is constantly changing, and when someone purchases the package, the amount will be converted based on the BTC exchange rate at that specific time, for instance, for a package consisting of 100 units. 20 ULTTs are being added to the liquidity pool twice, and with one of the $20, the system buys Bitcoin, while with the other $20, it buys KDX. It is also crucial to understand that the KDX will buy 50% of it from the current liquidity pool, so the price of the KDX will continuously increase because we are generating a substantial volume here. And if you take a look at the old one now, you will see the impact of this transaction on the overall market dynamics and the value of the KDX. If you take a look at the KDX USDT basket, you'll see that it's taken off beautifully, and that the KDX flow is once again surpassing all expectations and going up. Okay, the main idea is that out of a total of $100, $40 are allocated to the liquidity pool. What other benefits do we receive in exchange for the payment made for this package? First of all, we receive 100% of the full face value on our NFT account. It's really important that we don't get an NFT, but an NFT credit. And why is this good? Because, with NFTs, we can quasi-validate a deposit validator, which is beneficial and provides advantages in the process. Therefore, we will consistently and without interruption receive the coins for a period of 2 years from the rewards if we choose to submit this NFT to a deposit, ensuring a continuous stream of income over an extended time frame. Why is it beneficial to have a credit? Because if I desire, I have the ability to accumulate extra funds for it and purchase a more valuable NFT. Why is a larger value NFT advantageous? Because it will validate for a longer duration and receive a greater portion of the rewards, thus making it unquestionably valuable to collect on the NFT account. So that we can buy the biggest NFT possible. There's no need to rush with NFTs because the start of their blockchain doesn't have any significance. When commencing the blockchain, we actually need to purchase the NFT and then submit it to a suitable deposit validator for verification and inclusion in the network. And what else do we get besides this? We're getting 50 pieces of Mosaic pre-tokens, which will be added to our current pre-token quantity, and this will dissolve over a period of 2-4 years. This was discussed in detail in the recent cryptography class, explaining why this is necessary and why the mosaics will be dissolved into coins over such a prolonged period of time. This is an extremely vivid and truly important thing, that this whole thing operates on the continent. Peter stated that they will also make a table or a chart in this location where they will show the specific dates and quantities of mosaic coins that will gradually dissolve over time in the system, because this is, a very important piece of information for the traders and the users of Mosaic coin. All right, let's move on, right? There are packages of 250, 750, 5,000, 10,000, and 25,000, aren't there? Are you aware that the quantity of LP tokens is always 40%? And what about the NFT credit? Are you familiar with it? It is equivalent to the face value with the exception of the last two, because when it reaches 10,000, someone is granted validator privileges, and when it reaches 25,000, they are granted validator pro privileges, and these privileges are already lifelong. On the Mosaic flow, the number increases proportionally higher for a certain period of time, then it stops growing after the 5,000th package and remains fixed at 5,000. There are a total of 5,000 retokens. Let's discuss this briefly. I have collected information that we offer our regular business packages, which consist of a one-time token redemption, and then we take part in the weekly distribution. And naturally, we now also have the new LP2 packages, in which we receive a fixed quantity of tokens once. The weekly distributions are in effect until the blockchain starts operating. They consistently generate rivers of tokens, which are then distributed to us. I have conducted a comparative analysis of the numbers to determine the amount of tokens we receive and whether this distribution is beneficial for us or not. With the 100 package, there's a simple credit because the 100 package, in the case of the Auburn business package, doesn't participate in the weekly distribution. So there in the next line, you can see this extra 0 per 2 plus 0 per week. That here we don't actually get any extra pre-tokens. So when we buy a 100 pack, we get 3.7 pre-tokens, while in the case of the LP2 pack, we get 50 out of 1. So it's not a question that it's much more worth it, because the 100 package doesn't even include NFT. Here we get a 100 USDT credit, and we also get a much higher quantity of Mosaic pre-tokens as a bonus. And of course, the 40% will naturally go into the liquidity pool, which can be withdrawn after 2 years. No need to request it, but if deemed necessary, we can inquire within 2 years, and that 40% will be allocated to us. Without a doubt, in the event that the Codexa or the BTC exchange rate or any of these undergo an increase, then I will be eligible to receive tokens of higher value as well as BTC, which implies that I will ultimately acquire a greater amount in USDT than I had previously. In my opinion, let's also consider that 40% is temporary because we've locked it in for 7 years, but then we'll get it back. All right, let's keep going. The 250 package receives 9.4 pretos, and these are today's numbers. The distribution that happened today is 0.48, but these numbers are constantly decreasing. It is approximately 37. I just punched myself in the stomach, not anyone else. You can ask me about this if you want to. Here Attila and his gang also explained what the condition is for the blockchain to start. The blockchain could initiate at any time, so it could execute its basic functions even on the next day. It is simply important that there are such developments in it, new things that are, new things. This blockchain will undoubtedly create a big impact, and individuals, along with the cryptocurrency community, will certainly pay attention to this information. So I'm a personal bettor, and I estimate that there are approximately 37 remaining days until September, which indicates that this amount will still be produced until approximately 37 days. This is the pre-token amount. but obviously it will decrease as more and more people join in the pools. Based on the statistics obtained from the previous period, it appears that around 65, 70, 75% of the total amount will be generated during that specific time frame, which is approximately 2/3 in comparison to the quantity it brought in during the current week. Despite the blockchain starting in 37 days, please do not round this 0.48 to 30, just round it once to 20, 25 to obtain a realistic picture of the total production. If we take into account the more optimistic scenario at this point in time, it indicates that it will bring an additional 11, 12 pieces, thereby resulting in a total of merely 20 pieces in total. This 250 PKGE will generate pre-tokens. It's a regular biz package, while the LP2 PKG already includes 150 pieces. So here's a huge difference. And if we go through it like this, then we see that there are a lot more pre-tokens in the LP2 package than can be generated in the regular business packages. This is precisely up to the 5,000 package, and following that, you are aware, because of the specified limit, the pre-token quantity will remain fixed in the LP2 packages. So let's take a look at the two big packages to see what's going on there. We see that now I don't add, multiply, subtract, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't do math, but now I only talk about sums like this. With the 10,000 package, approximately, there will be about 5,000 pre-tokens produced compared to about 5,000 in the LP2 package as well. We are going to pre-game, or we are going to obtain precisely 5,000 pre-tokens. So in this case, we could state that there is not a significant distinction, but when we examine the largest package, there might be the most substantial difference in a negative sense, because in the regular package, we generate approximately January 2nd, 20,000 pre-tokens, whereas in the LP2 package, we only receive 5,000. However, it is vital to keep in mind that the 40% represents 40% of the package value that comes back to us, which is a crucial factor to consider in our overall assessment. So basically, what's included in the LP2 package is why we only pay 15,000 USDT for the depots or Validator Pro license instead of 25,000. And you know, because 10,000 will be refunded as well as its increase. And if, you know, what I said, that on one hand, the exchange fees, on the other hand, the exchange rate movement, you know, all this will be added to this thing. So let us perform the mathematics calculation here. We paid an amount of approximately $15,000 for a Validator trial license. Not like I got a 40% discount or anything. True, with the big package, you know, there's less. I can gain some pre-token, but the question is this the approximate? Does 16K pre-tokens correspond to the fact that I paid $10K aqua less for this package? Is the price difference due to the number of pre-tokens I received? And then I have seen a lot of presentations here, and in them, there were a whole lot of estimates where someone expected $1, $10, $20, $50. The worth of the Mosaic coin. It is irrelevant at all where we wait for the value of the Mosaic coin. And let me include another parenthesis comment here. Hence, I kindly request and strongly urge all individuals present here to refrain from discussing fixed returns and similar matters of that nature during our conversation. He consistently emphasized that this is his own idea and preferably provides an explanation for the basis of his belief. This assumption, however, in a public presentation, let's not overly emphasize this too much because it's always a very tricky and dangerous territory. If I were to say, oh, this token or coin will have such a high value, we would be discussing returns and profits, which would undoubtedly attract the attention of regulatory authorities, and rightfully so. That's why we should make an effort not to promote this item with such claims. Okay, well, however, let's get back to the point. So a wide range of estimates start to emerge into the light. But truth be told, it really doesn't matter how much its future value will be. It doesn't matter at all whether it's $10 or $100 or $1,000, $1 million. It's completely irrelevant. that is not the main point. The primary concern is that when the Mosaic pool starts and you have the opportunity to buy Mosaic coins from the pool, what will be the exchange rate? Because no matter how many times I say that I know what I'm talking about, if the exchange rate is currently X cents at the start, then I can buy that thing for X dollars. So it's like stating that Bitcoin will have a value of $100,000 and currently purchase it from my friend for $80,000. Why should I buy it for $80,000 when I can buy it on the market now for $48,000? I know it will be 100,000, but currently the current market price is 48,000. I'd rather buy it for 48,000 than from you now for 80,000. Even if it is 100,000, and even if I win on it, I still want to maximize my profit and make the most out of it. So you must examine the initial value. And naturally, we must consider this $10,000 compared to the 15,000 Mosaic per token. Mosaic is a fascinating and visually appealing concept, regardless of whether this is in proportion and irrespective of whether this is actually worth it for me personally. Why more? That I am currently giving $15,000 or $10,000 in exchange for 15,000 Mosaic pre-tokens, or perhaps coins, or maybe not. In my opinion, we should exercise greater caution, rely on adopting a more pessimistic outlook, and become more cautious daredevils instead of reckless risk takers. Obviously, it's really important for this project to get off to a good start and be cool, and I don't know what, but the exchange rate won't skyrocket. Similar to the price of Bitcoin, it did not initially begin at $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. Instead, it was being sold for cents or $1, $2 in the early stages. So here's the deal with this. Obviously, you have to get to know the market. You have to start using. We need to grow the demand. And if this demand increases and we can really fill this whole ecosystem with content, then the price will go up. And then we can say that, yes, we were very cool. But now we have to look at the moment of launch and compare the prices to that, not just one, but rather consider the overall market conditions and make informed decisions based on a comprehensive analysis. Consider a distant future exchange rate, irrespective of the calculation method or estimate employed to determine this exchange rate. So I believe that the LP2 packages were assembled in a manner that makes them truly worthwhile to purchase, regardless of the specific package under discussion. In all honesty, the typical business packages were slightly skewed towards the larger packages, and to be completely truthful, in these LP2 packages, we made efforts to reduce this excess weight a little bit, so that even the smaller packages, meaning those who do not have $10,000, $25,000 right now, can also participate in this project, and it is worth it for them to join. Our aim is to ensure inclusivity by providing an opportunity for individuals with limited financial resources to be a part of this venture and reap its benefits. And I have not yet spoken, and it would be highly significant, and I believe that in the near future, there will be an additional presentation where we will demonstrate the story, showcasing how the old liquidity pool packages performed. This is important because although there is no guarantee that they will perform in exactly the same way, it is still worthwhile to consider that the previous liquidity pool packages were specifically designed for the LP token and its associated functionalities. And how have their values changed in the prior time frame, and whether it was truly worth investing in a liquidity pool package or not, given the potential returns and risks associated with it. Spoiler, it was definitely worth it. Obviously, we also anticipate comparable excellent outcomes with the LP2 packages. And obviously we assembled them in a manner that they will not disappoint. And going back to NFC and regarding the validator permission, right? The NFTs will generate coins for us for a maximum of 2 years, right? And let's also consider that their Attilas also spoke about tokenomics. That is, until the blockchain starts, the pre-token, the total distributed pre-token amount is 5% of the total pre-token. Yes, 5% of the total pre-token. And you are aware that the 100% will be the theoretical maximum. But the closer we get to the theoretical maximum, the more the system will burn the coins. And if we distance ourselves from the maximum, It will either expedite the distribution of rewards or increase the distribution of rewards, thus resulting in a greater number of rewards being received. Given that we are commencing with 5% emitted, a total of 5% of the coins have been emitted. That is the reason why there will be a substantial steep increase in the issuance of the rivers, in the distribution of the rivers, as a reward in the initial first few years of the program's implementation. And this signifies that a substantially greater quantity will be released in the forthcoming couple of years, and following the launch, all of the items will be distributed collectively and in their entirety. Check now, around 800 range. I don't know the exact number, but there are around 820, 30 validators. Obviously, these will be joined by NFT owners, but this pales in comparison to validator status holders, because a Validator Pro can accommodate a total of 25,000 NFTs for their name value. So this is currently the case, as I have seen from the statistics, approximately up to 50%. We are pretty much there. So if we were to submit all the NFTs to the validators, approximately 50% of them would be saturated, and there is still approximately 50% of space left. Clearly, the distribution of NFTs is accelerating at the same time because, as I mentioned earlier, a large number of people are eager to cash in on NFTs, but well. Let's discuss validators now. The number of these will also increase. Let's say it's 1,000 or 1,200, it doesn't really matter. However, initially on a yearly basis, multiple tens of millions, a total of 100 million coins will be introduced annually, and these coins will be distributed among those 1,000 individuals. In this particular case, the owners of the validator will be rewarded with coins in quantities of tens of thousands. This is the main reason why I hold the belief that the 5,000 retokens they are receiving in 2 packages for a liquidity pool is almost like a drop in the bucket compared to the substantial amount they will receive in 2 years for this package, you know. It's just a small fraction of what they can expect to get in the long run. So let's take these factors into consideration. And when we talk about these packages, let's not forget to bear in mind that 40% of the total amount is refundable, you know. We will receive coins subsequent to the launch of the blockchain, and for what duration, because I believe that in the long run, this will effortlessly bring back this particular amount. And if someone does not like one of the packages to such a great extent because they assert they are unable to sell it effectively, then they ought not to talk about it. They should instead present the other available packages.